my book coming into this niche didn't affect his book that much. So he had a 2000 BSR over a month, and I came in with one book and also got a crazy good BSR. His BSR didn't change. So even though we were direct competitors, it didn't affect him negatively at all. It was just as if the niche got bigger. All your life experience leads to your thinking you now have. Peter and I look on the same niche. I have a different perspective than Peter has, and we would create two completely different books that would target this niche. Both books would appeal to other readers, and that's why I think both books can work at the same time without competing that much. And he then invested not at all as much money in KDP than in real estate. He told us a few months ago that now his cash flow on KDP is as high as real estate, and he invested 10 times less into KDP. So he sees KDP as an investment.
How is it really to be a KDP publisher? How is the start as a self-publisher? What is the normal route most people take? And what's a realistic end goal? Is it possible to really become financially independent and earn thousands of dollars completely passively? Hi, my name is Peter, and I made over $4.7 million on Amazon KDP, and for me, it changed my whole life. Today, I have a talk with Andrey, and we will talk about the journey through self-publishing and the lifestyle as a successful self-publisher. Whether you're doing KDP to become a full-time publisher or a digital nomad, or you want to build a real sustainable business with it, we will talk about all perspectives today, and of course, talk about our own experience. But first, welcome, Andrey.
Hi, Peter.
Welcome. First, can you talk a little bit about your journey? You started in January 2023, am I right?
2024.
No, yeah, 2024.
Yeah. So 1.5 years ago.
1.5 years. And how was the beginning? How's been your journey? Tell us.
Yeah, I think we have different journeys because you were doing it for 10 years now, and I think even 5 years ago, everything was different, and 10 years ago, even more was different. Yeah, how was my journey? I heard about KDP, I think, 4 years ago, or 4.5 years ago by now. Always has been an interesting concept, business idea for me, especially because of books. I'm really into reading. I love books. And I thought, okay, it's interesting, but I never, for the last 1.5 years, I took it seriously. But before that, I didn't look at it that serious. I thought, okay, people can self-publish if they are authors, if they are writers. They can come to pay KDP, they can work on their own books, publish them, make a little bit of money, and that's it. I heard it was a business, but I was more into agency. I had an agency back then and thought, okay, an agency is easier, you can make more money, it's the better business model. And then, 1.5 years ago, a little bit more than that, I closed my agency. And then switched over step by step to KDP, and it's just a way better business model actually. All the work I do today, currently working a lot to be honest, but all the work I do now in my KDP business doesn't bring me in money now. All the money I earn today and I'm living from is the passive income. It's a bad phrase, but it is like that. Is the passive income that comes from my older books. All the money I have to, live, eat, that I'm living on, is the money my books I already have published to and to just manage them takes like 2-3 hours a week managing the ads, and that's really it. So all the work I put in now isn't for earning money, but for the money I earn in the future. I could just stop working and nothing would change on my lifestyle now, and that's really unique about KDP, because when I had the agency, the main problem there was doing cold calls and getting new clients. If somebody watching here had or has an agency, it's just a stressful way of operating the business. Now I can work on books at my own pace. It is a fast pace now, but it could also be a slow pace. So I'm completely free of deciding that. And all the money that I earn, as I said, it's from the books I already created. There isn't a business model that provides this really special situation. Maybe music, if you are a rapper, I don't know if you are a singer, but it's not so easy to become that, I think. Like self-publishing is way easier to be a music star. So all these businesses that work with royalties, songs, music, and books, maybe also films. I have no idea of films, but my father is a music producer, so I know this part also. But these are a few business models that really have this passiveness that's real and not just YouTube, do Amazon FBA, have your agency. These are all models that aren't that passive in reality. With KDP, it's just publish a book, and if it's a great book, if you did everything right, then it's really passive and can be for 5 or 10 years. I think you have books that are really old to make money still till today.
Yes. And that's something that I saw was trending a couple of years ago. I saw people started making these YouTube videos, passive income is not real. And I always felt, well, that's not true. This is passive. And also what you mentioned with managing your old books taking 3 hours a week. I think in reality, you could hire someone to do the ads for you and it would be completely passive. Maybe you lose, let's say, I don't know what you would pay, $50 maybe for them to manage it. Perhaps you'd be concerned that they wouldn't manage the ads as well as you. But in my case, all my books, over 1,500 of them, they're being managed by an ad agency. So I don't do anything in terms of my old books, except maybe for fun, check, okay, is there something that can be done? For example, can the cover be changed? Can the ads be run better? Can I give some tip to the ads manager to check out a specific book and see if he can push it? But other than that, it's nothing really that needs to be done.
Yeah, I think especially if people have books in masses like you, over 1,500 books, I think then you really don't need to worry about anything, because even if 100 books would die tomorrow, you would still have over 1,500 other books. That's a crazy thought. Yeah, I think I have 40 books, and even that, when I earned like the first around $2,000, it was a weird feeling, because I had only 2 books that are doing well, and these 2 books were like 95% of this $2,000 I earned back then. And that was a weird feeling, because I know, okay, if one competitor comes and defeats one of these 2 books, then half of my income would be gone. And now with around 40 books, and I think around 20 of the 40 books are books that perform well, it's a easier feeling, I'm more calm now. Because I know, okay, even now, if my 2 best-selling books fail, it would hurt me, of course, but it wouldn't destroy my business. If you are on your publishing journey and have a few books now, and a few of them are doing well, then if you have more of them, it will become calmer. I think we can tell that to the people who are now doing publishing. Or even if you are more advanced, more experienced, I would guess you have experienced the same thing for you.
Yes, and also a good thing is that if you get a book to really become established and the quality is there, then usually with more sales, you get more reviews, so it becomes more established and you get these defenses that we've talked about in other videos.
Yeah, if you start to go into niche, I'll talk a little about niche research in DP, our community. I have a course about niche and positioning, or a video series, not really a course, it's more like a video series where I share my own strategy, like other DP members do there. There I first talk, if you want to go into niche, a unique concept, unique positioning. You need to find attack points and attack the niche. And if you have a book that is established, you then not focus on attack points, but on defenses, as Peter just said. So you want defense mechanisms. So for other books, for new competitors, it's harder to go in this niche, because you are an established book and it's hard to attack you from any angles. And if you build these attack points, it's like walls in a castle or fortress. If you build them higher and more thick, then it's harder for the people to get inside your castle. I hope this metaphor makes sense.
Yes.
But that's how you can think about defending your own books inside niches. An example would be more reviews. If you have more reviews, if you have mechanisms inside your book to generate reviews organically, for example, by offering a bonus, then you capture the email lists and send them emails where you ask, hey, if you like the book, maybe leave a review. Or if you ask explicitly inside the book on a page, if you like the book so far, maybe leave a review, then a QR code to the review page on Amazon. These are all small methods you can do to build up these defenses. And these are all things I didn't do them from the start. Each step through my publishing journey, there are new things you pick up and implement in your strategy. And if you talk with people like Peter, if I talk with other DP members, for example, every time I learn something from their strategy. And the nice thing about KDP isn't you can't really copy another strategy because it never works, but you can adjust your own strategy based on the experience you gain by talking to other people. So just the talking to other publishers if they do a few thousand a month or if they do more than I do. In KDP, we have luckily enough everything of that. I can just call somebody, have a meeting with somebody. We're now in Cyprus and we're meeting with Barry KDP, if you maybe know him from YouTube. And just the conversations with these people give you small ideas to adjust your own strategy while you're going on your KDP journey. And then you make small adjustments, and in the end, a year from now, I would guess my strategy I have now would be a complete different strategy, because I just made it better and better and better over time through conversations and new experience I make and experiences other people share with me.
Brief shameless plug you don't want to miss. Have you ever wanted to meet other KDP self-publishers in one room, exchange ideas, and have a great time together? Then our 2-day Mastermind event in Las Vegas on October 25 and 26 is exactly what you're looking for. Uncover secret strategies in our speeches, get one-on-one advice from me and our team in workshop sessions, and exchange ideas with other publishers at your level and above. Click on the first link in the description to find out more. Yes, I spoke to a new DP member yesterday. He had made over $1.8 million. You saw the share as well. And one thing in regards to what you just talked about is another defensive mechanism is your own experience and your own passion. And he mentioned a concept that he was thinking about doing. And I was thinking that's brilliant. And it's something that I wouldn't have come up with. But I could see why it was a natural conclusion of him to come up with it. And I said it to him as well. I said, yeah, if you make this concept, these titles, I would definitely buy them. So being first with a concept like that, being the original, the first deal, I think that's a great point as well. And he also mentioned something that he had joined a lot of different courses. And that's very interesting that even though he is over a decade into publishing, he still thinks 2012, he's still choosing to invest in himself and to get around other people's perspectives, just like you mentioned, because getting the experience of one other person, it can completely change the trajectory. And he said something about that it might not be that you see an immediate return on investment, but when he looks back at all the investments he had made, it usually at some point it paid off. It might have been just a connection that he made 5 years ago that now all of a sudden sprouted into a partnership or something that's worth a lot of money. So I think those second order consequences of getting in the right environment can be huge.
I mean, for my agency, tens of thousands of dollars I invested into coaching. I'm my previous business partner, we had told before an agency, and they were invested in a lot of different coachings. There was like a mindset and performance coaching, so you can work instead of 8 hours a day, like 12. It was a crazy thing. And we didn't like it. We paid a few $1,000s for that, and it wasn't that good. And still, I think 2 years after that, I would say it still has paid off, because the small things I learned there, and also got to know a few people through this coaching. And these connections now are way more worth. So that would be a nice example. And I experienced it all the time. So all the small coachings I bought, they all paid off. But the person you talked about, he's so advanced. Real coaching isn't the thing that would appeal to him now. He bought especially DP because DP isn't the coaching. DP is a community. If you buy DP, you're normally not a beginner. You are a little bit more advanced, and you want the community aspect. You want the access to other publishers. And I think the access is the important part in DP. You, for example, go into a 5-star hotel. You normally not only buy the room for the hotel, you buy the access to the other people who are in this hotel. And that's why they can charge their premium, for example, because you meet the other people there. A little bit of the same with DP. So, and I look forward to meet him in our event in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so likewise. And it's also the experiences, okay, you can do it this way. I've never thought about that. And there have been so many times, just small events like this during our group calls where I'm gonna write an email to my Amazon ads person right now as I'm on the calls. Are you doing this? Oh, okay, that unlocked another $1,000 a month or whatever.
Yes. The lifestyle of KDP, the journey you're going through KDP, it's for most of us lonely the first 8-9 months, were also lonely for me. I was my home all day working on KDP to make a living out of it as fast as possible, because I had a little bit of money from my agency saved up and was starting KDP full-time from the beginning. So I just invested only time. I didn't have a lot of money because I needed the money to live. And I invested only time, did everything myself. And that way, after 7-8 months, I earned enough to make KDP full-time. Now, of course, even more, luckily enough. And if you go through your journey in the beginning, also for me, it was a lonely journey where you don't really talk to other people. I like to have conversations with people, to share everything. I just like sharing and explaining new things I learned. I really love that. I haven't had a person talk about KDP because it wouldn't get it. If you aren't in book publishing, if you don't do self-publishing, it's a weird topic to talk about with a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Maybe they hear you and they say, okay, but they don't understand it at all.
And you have to go from the beginning. You have to explain, you can publish books on Amazon through this platform. I don't know how.
Okay. But how do you ship the books? Amazon prints the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to start from the very, very beginning.
And for us, it sounds so easy and logical, but of course, if you don't have something to do with it, then how would they know? How would they know how it works? Then I was in Peter's free Skool Community, and I wrote a lot because I wanted to share my knowledge and my newest things I found out. I wanted to ask questions, share stuff, and just communicate with people. And I was just the most active people in his community because I didn't have people in real life, so I used Skool. And then Peter contacted me because of that, because I was so incredibly active that he thought, okay, this guy is crazy. I don't actually know why you contacted me in the beginning, in the first place. But
I saw you posted a lot of helpful posts, and I wanted to connect more and learn more. And you also had results which were impressive, and it's such a speed. And I think that was, let's get on the call. And then we connected, and
that was a little bit, it was the complete switch, because then I had you to talk about. Then in the Barcelona event, we had 30 publishers I could talk about it. That was really nice. If you go into communities, even if it's a free school, as we have, you can talk to real people, maybe make personal one-on-one calls with them, make meetings with them and talk with them, and then maybe meet up in person. If it's just a vacation with the person you met, if it's online meetings, or if it's live events as we do with KDP, because our vision is all about personal connection, because we lack that personal connection.
And we have DP members that do weekly check-ins on each other and accountability calls. That's also a great thing. I think we had in different regions, we have UK, for example, they call each other and check in on each other. So that can also be helpful. It's not something all DP members do, of course, but it is something that can come into fruition. And also the partnerships. If you have many different publishers that are skilled in different areas, then it could make sense to do a partnership as well.
Yeah, I have a German colleague. I'm doing books together. We teamed up. He has 2 successful books in this type, and I just wrote him, hey, I have a few ideas. Maybe we can do it, do 50-50. We publish it on your account. We share all the expenses and all the profits in the end, and then we can do books together. And that it's really easy to share information then, because you know, okay, if he's more successful, you also earn. So you share anything with him, and he shares anything with you, and you have a real friend and business partner you can work really productively with, because you don't have any negative feelings and fear that he steals something from you or you from him. So it's just a good business relationship. And I think a lot of self-publishers lack this openness, and we are not as crazy competitors as many people think. Also, in one of my main niches, my main competitor bought one of my books, and in Germany, inside of the books, there is an imprint and the name of the publishers. And then so he found out that I'm the publisher of this book. And then he contacted me and wrote, hey, I'm your main competitor in this and this niche. Maybe we can talk a little and just share stuff. And my book coming into this niche didn't affect his book that much. So he had in Germany a 2000 BSR, plus minus 500 maybe, over month, and I came in with one book and also got a crazy good BSR, And his PSR didn't change. So even though we were direct competitors, it didn't affect him negatively at all. It was just as if the niche got bigger. And then we could have a discussion on a very rational level, even though we on paper would have been competitors. And in reality, it's not that competitive, actually. And you can share way more, you can talk more often, because my mind works like this. If I share a lot, people will give back. And that's why I try to, also on YouTube, don't hold back that much and share a lot what I have. So people can really learn from that. Maybe if I meet them, they are grateful, or I don't know, but just also share things. I read a book 5 or 6 years ago about psychology, and one point was reciprocity. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
And it's like if you are in a business meeting and you offer, the reason people offer a glass of water, it's really simple example, but they offer you a glass of water when you come, because then they give something to you, and psychologically you have the feeling that you need to give something back. And that isn't a bad thing, it's just how humans work. And if you give, you will always, on a psychological basis, get something back. I think that's just a beautiful thing. So by sharing, everybody gets more. That's just how I think about everything, and especially book publishing and talking to people and sharing stuff from my journey. That's also how I go through all my day.
Yes, and that's something I heard early in my journey as well. The difference between the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And the abundance mindset, it's that there is more than enough to go around for everyone. And I think that's been something I've been experiencing with people that don't necessarily do publishing. They ask me, what happens if you teach everyone how to do publishing? You're not going to have a business left. And that idea is so foreign to me now, because that's not at all how I think. I think that if I help someone else, they will help me eventually, or some way that help will come back. Not necessarily from the same source that I gave it to, but in some way it comes back. And that's been my experience, because if you look at before 2024, before I had DP, before I had any community, any YouTube channel or anything, then I was a much lower level publisher, despite having great results compared to now, simply because of the people I've gotten to know, and the information that has been shared, and the knowledge that I picked up just by being around other publishers. And to your point there about your main competitor contacting you, there is also a logical reason for this, and that is that, let's say you have a keyword called gift for boys.
Yeah.
What happens when more people target that general keyword? Because if you make an auto ad, you are likely to rank for a keyword like that. Then that is driving now traffic to, let's say, your book, and perhaps your competitor is now, as a product ASIN, targeting that under your product page, meaning that your book is making people that would not otherwise have known that niche now to buy your competitor books.
And I also think people buy more books than we think. I think a lot of people,
it's a low-priced item, so
maybe if they search a book for a topic, they just buy 3. I think a lot of people do that.
Yes.
I have also a few brands with 4 or 5 books, and I have the feeling a lot of people just buy all of them. So if it's a chronological book series, I hope you know what it is, like Harry Potter, you wouldn't read Harry Potter 5 before you read 1, 2, 3, and 4. Of course not. You can do the same in non-fiction, and if you have a series like this, then people normally don't buy your 3rd book of your brand. They buy the 1st and 2nd, and after they read it, they buy the 3rd or 4th book. But they can also buy just all of them at once. And I think a lot of people just do that. So we think most publishers have the wrong mindset how many books people really buy.
Yes.
So
I think the only exception is if you do a really low quality book, then if a competitor comes along and they do a much better book, then yes, of course it will affect your sales.
Yeah, different publishers have different style of creating books, of finding concepts, of creating angles of a niche. All your life experience leads to your thinking you now have and your perspective. And your perspective on the same niche, if we look on the same niche, or Peter and I look on the same niche, I have a different perspective than Peter has on this niche. And we would create 2 completely different books that would target this niche. And both books would appeal to other readers. And that's why I think both books can work at the same time without competing that much. Because our own experience and your experience leads to a book that is unique in its way and targets the right people. And other books will target other people.
Yes. One thing I've heard, I think it was from the 22 Immutable Laws of Branding, that book, or some other book on branding, but it says promote the category and that will help to increase your incomes. I don't think cola got very much affected by Pepsi because they both increased the market for sodas. So that's a way to think about it as well.
Yeah, also that's what I wrote with my main competitor in this niche. We're both running Facebook ads to our books, and people who click on his ad will see my books on his listing and buy my books, and people who come from my Facebook ads to my book will see his book on my listing and come to his book and buy it. So it's also a cross promotion, and that's why I also like to teach strategies that are based on external traffic, because external traffic helps all publishers on all of Amazon. That's why Amazon loves external traffic. And if you find out methods for external traffic, I think that's only beneficial for all publishers. But maybe we can talk a little bit more about the lifestyle perspective. We now talk the journey and how it worked out for us, but also the lifestyle. I mean, we're now sitting in Cyprus. A lot of people, maybe it looks a little bit, what's the English name? Decadent. Is decadent an English word?
Yeah, probably. the sun is rising here behind us.
And this could give maybe a wrong picture for some people, but also a true picture for other people. So my plan for the next month or maybe a few years would be to try out being something like a digital nomad, because KDP just offers this advantage. You can work from everywhere you want. And the lifestyle could really be a lifestyle that looks like this, where you have a sea behind you, but it's also worth. If I would stop now working, I still would have my books earning now, but I want to scale, I want to grow. And if you want to do it, if you want to treat KDP still as a real business, it's still a lot of time you need to invest. And then of course in videos like this, it looks nice, but we're in Cyprus now we're here exactly a week now. And out of 7 days, we worked 6 days. So we're only in our Airbnb and we're working all day long, even though we are on an island and it's beautiful weather. It's really hot here. It's too hot actually. But one day we were off, we were jet skiing. That was really amazing, but the rest was work. And that's completely fine. It's okay. That's what we decided to do. But if you want to do KDP successfully, especially in the beginning, it's a lot of work. And then you can switch. If you are fine with a level of earnings, you really have the opportunity to say, okay, now I want a month of vacation. And that's possible because the income still continues to come, even if you work nothing. And just to have this option is a really great feeling, because now the work I do, and we really work a lot, is just, we do it without other people telling us to do it.
Yeah, it's your own choice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my own choice. If I work now a lot and more as people in the normal job work, I do that by choice, and it's much more beautiful experience than having to work for other people because they demand you to work. We now have the option to just stop working for weeks or even months, and still the money came. I think Peter is completely financially independent right now. If he stops working on his books, you can stop working for 30 days and he still would have money.
I think, to be fair to the viewers, you and Tim, you have huge goals. So yeah, obviously you're...
But what I wanted to say, you have so many books and such a dominance on Amazon after your 10 years of publishing. I think you can just stop completely and never work again. Of course, you also saved a lot of money and made a lot of money over the last few years. So of course but in my case, I only have my 40 books now, and I think they will also perform, most of them, in 5 years from now, but I don't know if they will perform in 10 years. So I can't say, okay, I will do nothing from now on. Maybe I could do nothing really for 5 years, and I could live from my books I created, which is a crazy thought, but still, the risk is there to, in 5, 6, 7, 10 years, to again need to build something new. So this perspective on it still keeps me driven And so my mind tells me, okay, I need to create more books to save more and build a sustainable business. So I have this freedom I have now always, and not just for the next 5 years. Because if I would do nothing for 5 years now and I lost all the privileges I created myself, it would be bad. So, but yeah, also we have crazy goals that aren't rational for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That comes also.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have recommended the 10x book to you.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, that you could, in your position now, decrease the expenses and you could live in Asia very, very well.
Yeah, I could even, with the amount I'm currently doing, I could even live just in Austria where I live without any problems. Yeah. That's the crazy thing.
Yes, of course. But I think a lot of people, they do KDP and then they become digital nomads and they move to Asia, and there I think with $1,000 a month you could live.
Yeah, I think if you have $2,000 a month, you will live like a king there, and if you with 1,000 you can live really good.
Yes, and then also what you could do is you can pre-plan the work. So let's say you want to do 12 releases of the year, and then you do the work in January, and then you can more maintain for the rest of the year, maybe publish the book, start the ads. It's not that much work throughout the year. So
I know a German publisher, I write with him every other week on Facebook Messenger. Nice guy. We also talked one time on a meeting. I think I met him end last year. Well, not met, but wrote to him first time. And he then was in some country in Asia. I don't want to say the right one. I have one in mind, but I don't want to say that the wrong country. And he's now in another country and is just traveling as a digital nomad. He's not working that much on his KDP business. He just earns what he created with his books he created the last 2 or 3 years. And now maybe he works 10 hours a week. And the rest is just traveling, meeting new people, making new experiences. That's also a lifestyle you can really realistically have. And just really decided to have another one. So we are more focused still on doing the work, but also on, I think this combination of being able to, if you want to do 2 days nothing here in Cyprus and go jet skiing and meet with Barry, for example, just have nice talks, we can do that, and we will do that also the next days. And we can also go in the Airbnb and work 14 hours a day. That's also possible. So we have just the choice. We can just decide to do that.
Yes.
And there are different kinds of people. Some people treat KDP as a side hustle. They maybe want to do $500 or $1,000 a month to have more for their retirement, for example, or to save up for their kids if they want to go to college. That's one perspective a lot of people do who want to do KDP. Other people want to be digital nomads. Other people want to do it just as a full-time job, so they can free of choice have their job is KDP instead of some job they need to do, their boss wants them to do. Or they want to build a crazy big company out of it. There are different people who have different goals. Also German people who have 30 employees and only do book publishing with KDP. 30 employees in Germany is crazy expensive, so you need to do a lot of money with KDP to pay all these people. But it's just, you can do self-publishing yourself, as the name suggests, or you can build a real business out of it. And everything in between, like digital nomad, little bit passive income, full-time job, it's everything in between that. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You can really make it unique to your requirements.
And I think the main thing to avoid is to, let's say you're traveling to Asia and then you were to do nothing for 2 years. The problem with that is you would get out of touch with the current marketplace and you wouldn't have your finger on the pulse. So I think that's the main thing, is never to stop completely. Doesn't mean that you can't take a month or 3 months off, but you want to be around the information. You want to know what's going on. You want to publish a book here and there just so you can always have your finger on the pulse.
Yeah, especially if you are a person who focuses more on safety. For me, for example, safety is really important. I always want to be 1 foot safe, another foot in new experience and risk. So the balance is there. And if you are focused on more safety, I think it's safer, even though if you could stop working with KDP, just still continue working to build a bigger portfolio of books, to just be safer long term, not for a few years, but maybe over decades. And if you're more risk averse, then hey, You can stop working for 2 years, live for it, but maybe you then have to live with the consequences. Then maybe your books will not earn that much anymore. You need to cut on your lifestyle back. Just you need to be ready to live with the consequences. But the possibilities of KDP are really unique.
So I think that throughout the decade of doing self-publishing on KDP, there's not been any other business model that has really attracted me, because I tested other business models early on, and it's like you say, it's not passive. It's okay, yeah, sure, you make a sales call, you make $10,000, but what happens if you get sick or you can't work? Then with books, the income still continues to come. So it's a much different way of approaching it. You sow the seeds first, and then you reap. And you don't only reap once, you reap again and again and again. And I think that's the power of self-publishing.
Yeah, you also told me you tried to dive into real estate. And real estate is the classic field of business where people say it's passive.
It's not passive. You have to buy a really big complex for it to be passive, and you have to outsource. What I did was I bought 4 apartments, and if you buy 4 apartments, usually the budget, at least in my case, it didn't make sense to hire a manager to manage everything.
Yeah.
Because then there would be no profit. The interest rate changed. There was no profit at the end. I'm selling the property at a loss of, let's say, 50 to 100,000 at least, at a loss now. And there was a lot of work, hundreds of hours of work. I had to go to court at one point. I had to fix a lot of things. I went there myself in the beginning as well. So I would say it's definitely not passive.
Yeah.
So if I were to do it again, I would simply put that money into books.
I talked with a few people who told they want to see KDP as a start, earn money, and then invest that money into something like real estate. And I don't understand the logic behind that. Maybe I'm just more educated how KDP works than them. Don't want to assume that, but it's the only logical thing I can think of. But somebody like Ayhan, your good friend who also had a few interviews with you here, he did the opposite. He invested a lot in real estate, a few millions of dollars.
Even much more than me.
Yeah.
Even more than me.
Yeah, he is a real estate agent and has a lot of real estate. And he then invested not at all as much money in KDP than in real estate. And I think he told us a few months ago that now his cash flow on KDP is as high as on real estate. And he invested 10 times less into KDP. So he sees KDP as an investment. He had a lot of money, and instead of putting more into real estate, he put it into KDP to grow his money, his income. And people who start KDP want to do KDP and then put money out and put it into real estate. If you tell that Ayhan, he would say you're crazy. Because he did the opposite. And I think if you do a lot of money with KDP, just invest even more into KDP. Create more and more books, build bigger systems, bigger teams of influencers, or freelancers. Maybe also influencers. I don't know if influencer marketing is a thing, but invest more in freelancers, build teams, build management structures, and just produce more books, better books, invest more per book. And I think that's a better investment, short and long term, compared to real estate. Of course, you have the value component of real estate. So maybe if you think 30 years plus, still real estate could be better. But if you're actively doing KDP, put all the money back or most of the money back in KDP.
Yes,
I think it's the best investment you can do.
And focus on buying back your time. So if you see that you're spending 5 hours a week on something that could be done by someone else at just the same or maybe even better quality than what you're doing, then it makes sense to buy back those 5 hours instead of putting it into another investment vehicle. Because with that new time, 5 hours a week, you might get a chance to go through some new educational material or find and implement a new strategy or whatever it is that will make much more than what you would make if you were to put that money into another investment vehicle.
Yeah, I think this was a great video.
Yeah, should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
That will do it for this video. If you're an experienced publisher past the beginner stage, then check out our new advanced free course in our community. Link in the description.
And even if you are a beginner, we also have a free beginner's course in Skool. So if you are at your first, second book, you can watch the beginner's course, get a little bit more advanced, and if you are a little bit more advanced, then switch over to the more advanced course in school. It's new, it's really good, so check it out. If you have a few books, if you do around $1,000 maybe a month or way more than that, advanced course I think is perfect for you. Also, if you want to scale from 10K to 30K plus, I think the advanced course gives the fundamental strategies to do exactly that. So feel free to check it out in school.
Thank you very much. See you in the next video.